Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Happiness from Within. I'm really excited to bring today's episode to you. How are you today? How's your day going? Wherever you are in the world, I really want to thank you from my heart to yours for tuning in. This episode does not happen without you guys, so I really appreciate each and every single one of you for taking time out of your day to listen to this. Whether you're in the car, on your way to work, getting ready for work, lounging on the couch, whatever it may be, I honor your presence and I truly appreciate you. So today's incredible topic that we're going to be talking about is, what is Buddhism? This is very near and dear to my heart, and I'm very excited to share with you about Buddhism. I've been practicing Buddhism for the past 15 years, and it has absolutely changed every aspect of my life. And one of the reasons I personally really love the philosophy of Buddhism is because it's a philosophy of life. For example, you hear about when you make good causes, you get a good cause back. So one of the analogies that you'll hear about in Buddhism is a lotus flower. So a lotus flower grows in a muddy pond. It does not grow in a clear pond. And it blossoms and it seeds at the same time. And what that represents is a simultaneity of cause and effect. And the mud underneath the lotus flower represents all the gunk, all the sadness, anger, resentment, the darkness within our life. But if you look at a lotus flower, outside of the lotus flower is this beautiful, beautiful flower. So it's a representation of life. We all go through very difficult times. Even getting up, just to get up, can be difficult, right? But just taking a small step, even if it's a half an inch, is a progress. Opening up your eyes and being alive, wow, we have so much to be appreciative for. And so the particular Buddhism that I want to talk to you today about is Nichiren Daishonen's Buddhism. And I would love to give you a little bit of a background. So the essence of Buddhism is the belief that each person possesses the potential to overcome any problem or difficulty. The inherent and boundless potential is referred to as the Buddha nature, a state of life characterized by limitless courage, wisdom, and compassion. Buddha means awakened one. The founder of Buddhism, Shakyamuni or Siddhartha Gautama, awakened to the eternal and universal law within each life that's synonymous with the Buddha nature. He taught that all people without exception possess the Buddha nature and are inherently worthy of respect. This is a teaching that is expressed in the Lotus Sutra. In the 13th century, Nichiren Daishonin, a Japanese Buddhist reformer, developed a practice accessible to all people to enable them to bring forth their inherent Buddha nature. This practice consists of chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, the title and the essential message of the Lotus Sutra. By chanting the phrase Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, which is the name of our Buddha nature, we awaken to the reality that we are Buddhas who have unlimited reserves of courage, wisdom, and compassion to resolve every challenge in our lives. By chanting, we experience the positive changes and undergo the process of self-transformation, called human revolution. Based on the positive results we experience through this process, we develop the conviction that we can transform any suffering, lead those around us to happiness, and create peace in our communities and the world. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo is a declaration of the inherent dignity and power within the lives of all people. So this amazing organization that I'm a part of is called the Soka Gakkai International, which beautifully means Value Creation Society. The Soka Gakkai International is the grassroots lay Buddhist organization with 12 million practitioners in 192 countries and territories, based on the belief that all people equally possess Buddhahood and they can directly access their Buddha nature. There are no priests or clergy in the SGI. Rather, we practice Buddhism as equals, encouraging one another to overcome life's difficulties based on the Buddhist principles while striving for our dreams and the peace for our communities. The central activity for SGI members is the monthly discussion meetings. At these meetings, we chant, study Buddhism, and encourage one another. Through Buddhist practice, SGI members aim to establish within their lives genuine, inexhaustible, and indestructible happiness, which we refer to as absolute happiness. In contrast to this relative happiness, which is dependent on things like external circumstances, material possessions, or social status. And I would love to tell you about the founder of this amazing Buddhism. So there's actually 3 different presidents. There is, oh my God, excuse me. I had something in my throat. So there's Tsunobu Makiguchi and Dozai Toda and Daisaku Ikeda. So Daisaku Ikeda, I believe he's in his early 90s. He's actually dedicated his whole life to spreading this Buddhism. And I actually look up to him as my mentor, even though I've never met him. And he's actually received over 350 honorary doctorates. He never went to college. And the reason I share that with you is not to put him on a pedestal, because he's actually not like that. He has one of the most amazing hearts that I know in this world. But through reading his books, I mean, he's written so many different books. He's had so many different dialogues with prolific leaders from all over the world. But he's really showed as an example, it's not that you have to practice his Buddhism to talk to him. Not at all. Like I said, he's talked to so many prolific leaders from all over the world. But just his heart and who he is as a person. And I came actually from a Christian background. And I respect all religions. This is, again, just informing you what Buddhism is about, okay? I practiced, I grew up Catholic. I practiced Christianity, I believe, for about 5 to 6 years. And it was just something about this Buddhism that I was like, these things seem like a coincidence. So I started chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo back in 2005, 2006. And I was at a very low point in my life. Excuse me. And one of my really good friends, she's like, why don't you just try it? She had introduced me to the practice in 2000. I was very, very closed off. I just wasn't open to it. Anyway, make a long story short, the only thing that I wanted was to have hope. Literally, that's it. I just had always felt this sense of darkness and emptiness inside my life. Not that I never had happy moments, but that was where I was used to being. I was just always used to suffering. And not to say that we don't go through hard times. Of course, we all do. That's inevitable. That's just part of being human and being on this earth, is going through different experiences. Human suffering you're going to go through something. Whether there's something interesting in Buddhism, there's the 4 sufferings, with this birth, which none of us can escape from. And that's birth, aging, sickness, and death. Would you agree? So just going back really quick to my story, as I started practicing this Buddhism, and one of the things as a kid is I had moved around a lot. And I noticed there's this thing in Buddhism that's called karma. And karma isn't necessarily something that's bad. It's usually, everybody has different karma. It's usually a pattern of repeated things that you see happening over and over. Maybe you keep attracting the same type of guy or the same type of girl. For example, maybe you had different relationship and you notice that you keep attracting somebody that's an alcoholic, as an example. Like one of my karmas, for example, is that we kept moving and moving and moving, just like running and being afraid. And so one of the things that my best friend asked me, she's like, what's one of the things that you really want to change in your life? And that was definitely one of them. And another one was actually the health of my knee. And as some of you guys know, I had this incurable disease in my body for literally 15 years. It was in my knee, and every year it was just like getting worse and worse and worse. But in the beginning, when it started, it was so minuscule and so small. It wasn't really a big deal in the beginning. But every winter, my leg would get literally just swollen. But, when you're young, you're like, oh, I feel okay. The first thing you're not thinking to do is to go to a doctor, right? So what I can just tell you through my practice of this Buddhism, I could tell you so many stories, and I'll definitely be sharing more through the podcast series, but is really having this unlimited courage, this unlimited self-confidence, and this unlimited self-trust within myself. And one of the things I love about Buddhism is it doesn't matter where you come from, what the color of your skin is, just simply by saying the words, if you'd like to say it with me, is saying the words Nam, Myoho, Renge Kyo, is you bring out this potential that you actually already have within your own life. It's as if this beautiful diamond, because all of us are beautiful diamonds, this beautiful gems that we have inside of our life. When you chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, you are polishing and polishing that beautiful diamond within your life that's already there. And every time that you say it and you're developing yourself, that diamond becomes brighter and brighter and brighter. You can also imagine it as a cave, right? Let's say you're in this cave and you're shining sunshine in a cave. No matter how dark a cave has been for thousands and thousands of years, if you open up the entrance, always light can come into the tunnel. So your life is not any different. So if there's something that interests you, what I tell people, because it's how I started and how a lot of people start, is just simply to say the words until your heart is content. Try it for 100 days. And one of the things that you will notice is that you will see actual proof in your life. Would you agree that one of the things, whether you are anything that you are practicing, any religion, is seeing actual proof in your life? See, that's one of the things that I love about this Buddhism is that, remember I was saying earlier about coincidences? There were so many things that started to change in my life. I was like, these things are not a coincidence. Buddhism teaches that when you change on the inside, everything else on the outside changes. And whether you practice Buddhism or not, that's just the philosophy of life. When you're working on yourself, for example, let's say you hire a coach to self-love and improve yourself. When you hire that coach and you're spending that money, I guarantee you that you're going to self-love yourself if you're doing all of the exercises. Let's say you hire a trainer to go to the gym and you're going 3 days a week. I guarantee you, if you're going 3 days a week, you're going to self-transform your body. Let's say you hire a nutrition coach to better your health or to lose weight, and you're following every single step that this nutritionist is giving you. Again, it is by default that you are going to feel better, you're going to look better. So the chanting of Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, I really like to call it a spiritual cleanse. You could say that. But it's something so deep and profound. Sometimes I can't really explain it. The meaning of Nam Myoho Renge Kyo means devotion to the law of cause and effect through sound. And so another thing I want to explain to you about this Buddhism is it's actually all over the world. It's in 192 countries. And everywhere you go, you're going to find SGI members. And so that's the other beautiful thing is it's about you change first, and that's how everything else around you changes. Actually, yeah, so that's the first thing. The second thing is we believe that when we change, because it starts with one individual, right? That's how world peace is going to happen. It's definitely not something that's going to happen overnight, but it starts with each and every single individual. And so going back really quick to my story is that one of the things that I like to just mention 3 things that have changed. So one, through this practice, I was able to completely heal my body of this incurable disease that I had literally within the last year and a half. Completely changed so many relationships, with people in my family. And it wasn't about that I was trying to change them. No, because when you change, things in the outside change. But relationships with people that honestly never thought in a million years that I would ever honestly be in good standing with. Just people that I had a lot of anger towards. So that's the first thing, changing of relationships. Secondly, when I had mentioned to you guys that I was in a really low place, is that I completely went from being a victim to a victor. I lived my life for so many years as a victim. Literally, I would be like, well, I can't do this because this happened to me as a child. And I wasn't even aware of it. Because Buddha means awakened one. And personally for me, when I chant, because we chant every morning and every evening, we have this beautiful thing. It's called a gohanzen. And it's this beautiful scroll that each of us have in our home. It's not a god or anything outside of you, but you chant to this every morning and every evening to bring out your Buddha nature. It's pretty amazing. And those people any of you guys that want to start practicing, we really encourage you to first just start saying the words. And, depending where you live, we can definitely connect you to a meeting. The meetings are really amazing. What we do at the meetings is we chant for about 5 to 10 minutes. Somebody will give an introduction to the practice. And then my favorite part is somebody will actually give their experience, where you actually get to hear actual proof from, it could be anybody, just from any walk of life. And so just to go back, so I was talking about the first thing that I changed was my health. The second was relationships. And then the third was going from victim to victor. So one of the other things that I really love about this practice is that it's a practice. It's not something that you do for 2 years and then you're done. And there's many different forms of Buddhism. I encourage you to find what works for you. But one of the things I can promise you is that when you chant Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, you will see a difference in your life. So if this is something that resonates with you, that's beautiful. If it doesn't, I completely respect that. And I just really hope that this episode brought you a lot of value. I love and appreciate each and every single one of you guys. If you are interested in getting some more information, you can also go to the website, which is www.sgi-usa.org. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you guys next Tuesday. Have a wonderful, fabulous day.